live here. I always remember one of your first ever lives, one of these that we did, and all I remember is the replay. And I think you're playing with your hair, and all I hear you was go, "We're coming through loud and strong." I always remember that one.
Loud and strong. Yeah, well, that's because like if you look through, wow, I just made that much worse. If you look at like the history of my hair,
yeah,
it's been just a sea of tragedy. I think there's been one good haircut in all the lives we've ever done.
Is that it? Is that really?
Yeah, it's because I'm lazy, so I tend to grow my hair because it's easier to deal with.
Brilliant.
Laura Collins again.
Laura's like dedication. That alarm must be very well set.
Laura. I admire her. I gotta be honest. We barely make it on time.
Apologies. Today we had a couple of technical issues, as always. I'm back in the office today.
One of them was you forgot your coffee.
That is true. I needed to have my mug of coffee.
Yeah.
So it comes on every live. So we're all about tradition here on the Tuesday Tune-In.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be the same without coffee, Maindel Boutans, Dave talk about his hair and his knee.
I've changed the Maindels now. I don't wear them anymore.
Yeah, what have you got now?
I think they're called the Adamellos or something. They're called. They're the wide fit ones. I gave my Maindels away.
Oh yeah, I noticed you did. Well done in the community as well.
Just doing putting a bit of goodness into energy. The world,
Brilliant. Well, Vicky as well. Yeah, we got Evertrek on it. That's Vicky. She's on the comments or on the phones, as Dave used to say. But who we got? We got Laura. We got Stuart. We got Tina. We got Marky V. Mark. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Sophie. We got Laura.
We see Mark tomorrow.
Yeah,
I didn't know about this.
Surprise.
Is he at the W?
He is, WTF.
Looking forward to seeing you, my friend.
And Sandra as well.
Sandra.
The wife?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. I'll have to introduce him, right?
Yeah, I know Sandra, but I've just literally a second name popped into my head, and I was like, what's Sandra doing there?
Brilliant. Who's the bloke on the left? I suppose you are on the left.
I think it's you.
Okay. I know I have had a bit of a haircut.
Well, also you're never here.
there's a lot going on.
Are you going to disappear today?
No. I'm here, committed for an hour.
Hang on a minute. This is real. It's actually
real. We got Becky from Aloft. Becky, how you doing? All the way from Kathmandu.
Hello, Becky.
Brilliant. It's always great when we see people tune in from far, far away.
Yeah.
Not just me. It's a little bit less sunny in the office this time, but
is it?
It is. Say that we got some bright lights.
No, it's not. Really it's not any less sunny in this office, and it's a little less sunny than your last office.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Brilliant. Well, look. Thanks everyone for joining us today. It's been a busy few weeks. We've got a lot going on in the Evertrekker community. And today we thought we'd focus on the real heroes of the treks when it comes to the guides.
The Evertrek. Oh.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah. Sorry. No, carry on.
It's okay. And it's we just wanted to chat about the teams really. In every country. I know we focus on Nepal a lot because that's where a lot of our trekkers are at the moment, and it was obviously where we first started. But actually, across all trips, we always get whenever there's a review or feedback or comments. Majority, I say 80% of the time, it's always about the guide. I wouldn't have done it without the guide. I wouldn't have, thank you so much. And that usually it's like, can you tell them this? And it's really kind of heartwarming to get those kind of comments because, like me and David trekkers ourselves, we've been to high altitude. We know it can be tough, and sometimes you need that person who's got it covered and can help you. And look after your health, your pace, your enjoyment. And I think something you said, it always sticks in my mind when we were on Kili. And we did.
Was that Get Me Off This Mountain?
No, it wasn't that one. It wasn't
not that one.
It was when you said around, I think we did a little bit of an interview with Steve in Mid-Moshi at the hotel. And you were talking about the guides becoming your friends.
Oh, yeah.
And and it always does stick with me because I think of all the guides we've ever met, I don't think any of them are not our friends now. In that way, I think a lot of Evertrekkers.
Yeah, well, they're 100% the backbone of our trips, and that's almost like a phrase, that's like, but they really, really are. They're the foundation of all the success that we've ever had taking people on any trips ever. Yeah. Without them, and without the porters, the guides, and I'll be honest, a lot of the support staff as well, the people that do the driving back and forth from the airports, all of those people, they all form a vital link in the chain that gets people success in the mountains, but particularly the porters and the guides as well. it's a hard life to be a porter and a guide. You know, they spend a lot of time in really harsh environments. Often, you know, it's really cold or it can be really hot. Really, on these trips, do we not have to fight some form of like weather, or, you know, they spend a lot of time at high altitude, and they're really exerting themselves by carrying the load, so all of us can experience the enjoyment. And yeah, you know, they sleep in tea houses, they sleep in tents, they sleep, you know, in sort of big rooms together. It is a tough life, and we wanted to do a live, especially off the back of some trips that have happened recently, where there has been a lot of like bad weather, a lot of adversity that everyone, including you guys, have had to overcome. And we thought, you know what, let's talk about the real heroes, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And some nice comments as well. Firstly, before we do go to the comments, Emily Cathill's in Namche. Oh, mate, great to see you have some Wi-Fi. And I hope, I don't know if you've been in touch with home. I hope, was it your dad who got kicked from a horse? I remember,
really?
Yeah, just before she left. So I hope he's okay. I hope I've got that right. I know someone got kicked by a horse. I hope it was your dad. No, as in I didn't hope it was your dad. I mean, I hope I
Emily,
that right.
we really do hope that whoever it is that got kicked by a horse is mending well.
Wow. I did that one well, didn't I? So
yeah, that was smooth.
I should have just said whoever, but no, honestly, I hope he's okay. Yeah, and Tina, Simon, and Lindsay as well, just talking about their trips. No, we have made it up Kalapatar with Atal give me a kick up the backside. Yeah, Simon, Kalapatar's tough, especially when after base camp. You know, the day before, and then you're kind of trying to get up there, and you've got to get up super early. You're freezing.
Yeah.
All you want to do is sleep, and then you've got 2 hours of walking. But well done on getting up there, mate. I know the view is amazing.
100%. I remember I was with hey, Jerome, the official rock carrier, is back.
He is. I hope you brought back some rocks.
What a legend! I'm looking. I think Jerome's putting together a. Am I right, Jerome? Like a blog or a video blog of your trip.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
Nice. Who was I? I was going to refer. So what were we talking about then before I got distracted by Jerome?
We talked about Emily, and it was her dad. Yes, I got it right. Thank you, Emily. And just reading what Emily was saying, I hope you're feeling better. Namche is always a challenge, you know, where you are. Just give it a bit of time. You know, hopefully, you know, you're feeling better tomorrow. Try and get a good sleep. And you're tuning in. What time is it there? It must be getting on for 6 o'clock now in Nepal.
Yeah, probably.
So get some food, get some sleep, get some rest. And I hope you feel better tomorrow, Emily. And enjoy the rest of your trek.
Yeah.
Hey, David Clift is here as well. Great stuff. Always great to see David on.
How's it going,
not long got back from his trip as well with his big group. And yeah, I mean, just to start with the guides then. I mean, first of all, we want to talk about why we use local guides.
Yeah.
So I always think it's good to start with that because, you know, we do. I've been on trips where I've had, you know, people from the UK and I've been on trips and locations, you know, in around the world. You know, when you're traveling and you get people from you know, who live there, who are from there, and I've always certainly preferred. I mean, this is just a personal thing, and I think it's 1825 wasn't too far. And I always preferred having someone who was there. Like I remember when I was a scuba diving instructor, and I used to take people. You know, I used to have knowledge of the local kind of reefs and everything, and used to take them around. But actually, you know, the local when I was living in Thailand, the Thai scuba diving instructors and the guides actually they kind of knew it a bit better, and I think it really improves your experience. I think having the locals, and I think it's the 100% same on the trek.
100%. I think that because one of our firm convictions is that we want to use only local, you know, local guides, local porters, everybody in the country that we go to and we send people to. We want to provide them with, you know, not only our business, but also, you know, provide our customers with their knowledge, because they are the best. They live in these areas. They're from these areas. They've got a lifetime of knowledge that we can only hope to catch up on. And it has been brought up, you know, we do get some feedback, you know, that occasionally it would be nice to have someone who's like perhaps an English speaking guide from Evertrek there to kind of communicate with. And I totally understand that. But the reason why we're not going to go down that route is because, okay, it may be a challenge sometimes to try and get that. And we can make things, you know, we don't want to go the easy route. We want to keep the way we're doing it in using the local guides, the local porters, the local businesses, the local support, everything local, and whatever challenges that comes with, we'll adapt and we'll improve. But I don't see us ever changing.
No, I think
using those guys, because they're amazing and they're so good and kind that
I think it also there's that kind of attachment as well, because I think when you're using kind of people from the local communities, it's definitely the money kind of stays local. In my mind, I think that was always one of the big things in the beginning, and I think that's still the same now. Like, a lot of the money goes directly to those people, which you're supporting. I mean, from our perspective, it's always nice knowing that not only the trips are good, and they're really good, but also as well you're doing something as well, because you're supporting the local communities, the families, the lodges, whatever you spend your money, you're supporting them, and Evertrackers should, and everyone who treks and goes to these remote locations, you're doing a good thing by actually just going there, especially now post-pandemic. Which especially after 2 years of of not having much, and the Nepalese people, the Tanzanian people, the Peruvians, Moroccans, they are very resilient people, but still, they're human beings, and they, it's spending money in that local economy is priceless. So good on you, and especially to everyone that's out there now, Emily. Once you're feeling better and you're out of bed, but great to hear the guide brought you dinner to the bed. Try and walk around, especially on the way down. On the way back down, once you've done base camp, have a little walk around in Namche. It's one of my favorite places to hang out.
I've always said I want to go over there and spend a month or two working in Namche.
Yeah, you should do it.
I'm going to do it one year. I'm going to go over there during the season, so I can be kind of on the ground. But really, it's for me. Like, I just want to spend some time there. Marky V's literally put it into great words there. It's always best to put back into the local economy. Occasionally challenging to stay local, but always worth the effort. And I 100% agree. Because we have had feedback where some people have said, "Oh, it would have been nice just to have someone
from the UK."
And you know what? A fair comment, and I agree with you. But we're always here. You can at any point drop us an email or give us a call and talk to us.
Yes.
And we can provide whatever support or that's needed. But at the same time, I'm truly convinced that 99.9999% of the time, using the local guys that we have there are the absolute best way to do things, because you will learn so much more. And also, you'll become friends, and you do become firm friends as well. Hey, Stefan, how's it going?
Yeah, hey, Stefan. And Tina as well.
Tina's here.
Can I work for you in the Annapurna area? Tina, you never know. Are you from Nepal? Sorry, Annapurna area. Tina, love you to bits, mate. Yeah, 100%. Can't wait to see you out there. And Amy, the Machu trip next June is the same time as Inti Raymi. We'll be celebrating the guides. Yeah, if it's the same as any festival, as long as it doesn't affect the trip. It's usually celebrated wherever you are. The same as like in Nepal, in Morocco. We were over there. They were in Ramadan. It was pretty much every evening. They might have to sort of make allowances, but certainly. Inti Raymi. I'll have to research that, because I've not celebrated that myself or seen it. I was out there in September, but I am sure, knowing the Peruvians and the guides, they do like to celebrate. So they're really, really cool guys. So definitely.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I can see a lot of people bigging up the Sherpa barista. Yeah, I've had their cake. I had a chocolate cake there once. It blew my mind. It was all I thought about all the way back from Namche. On that day, from when you go from where'd you go? Ferry Chay to Namche.
Big day.
It was on my mind constantly. It's what kept me going. I had an imaginary fishing rod on my back with that cake dangling in front. Like
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's it.
Bri, how you doing, mate? It's coincidental you're talking about the guides today, because it was 2 years ago that I did the Para 10 and raised 585 quid for the awesome guides.
Yeah,
Bri, I know, yeah, mate. 2 years ago, wasn't it? Gosh, it seems like a lifetime ago almost now. But yeah, during the challenging COVID times, and thanks, Bri, for all that. I know you put yourself through some pain, but we always remember the great things, not just you, but the Evertracker community have done for our guides. And it's been quite interesting, because we've obviously, I just to kind of segue in, obviously we've announced the crowdfunding that we're doing through Evertrack, the equity crowdfunding, and a lot of things off the back of that was research, and we were just basically going through the journey that we've been on. Just to show, especially, I know the Evertracker community have kind of followed us for the journey, but especially to maybe some new investors, we wanted to show like the journey we've been on. And actually a part of that was some of the fundraising we did during COVID, as well as the community. So yeah, Brian, I was doing a bit of research and reminding ourselves what we did during COVID, because, I think, just keeping the teams going and the local teams is the reason why they're there guiding now.
Yeah, 100%.
So don't forget that, they're still going because of you, people like yourself. So well done, mate.
That's it. I mean, there's a lot that goes on, I think, behind the scenes, and it was really good when we did during COVID Strides for Guides, where people raised all that money, and also Jackets for Guys, where you bought jackets that we had made in Nepal, and then sent all of the money back to those guys.
And the original one as well. We did the original fundraiser.
The original fundraiser, yeah, I forget.
I know, because we did a few.
We did a few, but honestly, I wish we could do more, because they've done so much for us, and the sacrifices that they make in order to make sure that we as customers get to experience the exhilaration of reaching EBC or the summit of Kili or the summit of Tupkal. It can't be done without those guys, because I always say that, and I was chatting to some guys recently, a guy Andy and David, and
anyone we know.
It was two different Andys. Yeah, I wasn't talking to myself. It was quite funny, because whenever I referred to, I was chatting, and if I referred to you, I'd say like my Andy.
Okay. Wow.
But and I was chatting to those guys, and they one thing that perhaps we don't do enough is talk about how we support those guys. And it's and I did say, like, part of it is because you don't want to come across like you're doing this to kind of help them. They're helping us as much as we're helping them. It's a mutual thing. But in times of difficulty, particularly during COVID, where there was pretty much nothing happening for the best part of 2 years, what can we do to show our appreciation for everything they've already done for us? And perhaps we don't shout about it enough. And I said, well, maybe a little bit of that is that you don't want to seem like you're kind of like boasting about what you do, but actually, we do care about these guys, and to demonstrate that we do care, we do try our best for them. I mean, one of the particular thing that we have in Nepal is that we tend to use so each guide kind of has their own team, and they'll tend to use the same porters. And what that means is that we end up using the same teams all the time. They're always within our circles, and we really do keep the best of the best. But what it means is that the loyalty is not just one way. And if you start as a porter, obviously, these guys may come from the villages, very remote villages. They might not have good English speaking skills, but what they are is incredibly strong, and they've got a knack for survival at high altitude. So what do we do? Do we leave these people as porters for the rest of their lives? Absolutely not. We want to develop them into guides. So the team in Kathmandu, and Anuj, a lot of people see Anuj and they might just see him like running around conducting business, but what he does behind the teams to look after those guys is astonishing.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Helping with the education side of things, the insurance and the health cover. One story that he did for a porter, which was on a trip that I was on, and I didn't know about this till I got back. This was in October 2019, where we were in Gorakshep, and one of our porters on his first ever trip come down with HAPE.
Oh, really?
And they were obviously HAPE leads onto HACE, and you have to get that person down immediately. It was bad weather, so it was very difficult to get a chopper that night. So what they did is we got oxygen. You can buy the canisters of oxygen. Paid for that, got him a helicopter back down to Lukla, paid for his medical expenses, and got him seen by a doctor, and then also put him back on the next trip. Because
he was on it.
He was recovered and good, and at that point, some companies might not use that porter again, but no, that's not the case with us. We want to keep our guys together, close, and look after them. And I'll never forget that guy, because I recognized him on the trip. And then when I got back down, I saw he was in Lukla, and I said to Anuj, I can he's in Lukla, and Anuj told me the story. I didn't even know that happened on my trip. I had no idea.
That's it. A lot goes on behind the scenes, and I think you've certainly set the scene there, because there are a lot of things that do happen, and it's good to. It's like any walk of life, isn't it? To kind of see that people are okay. They're porters, but they don't have to stay porters the rest of their lives. I mean, it's. There are in the mountain communities, there are a lot of people who, who kind of start as porters, when they're very young, in their teens, and then they'll work up. If they want to be a guide or assistant guide, they kind of there are opportunities, and there's becoming more and more opportunities now, not just for men but for women as well, because it's quite culturally quite sort of male heavy. But we've had sort of female porters and obviously them to be training to be guides,
particularly in Tanzania. Big push for that.
Yeah, and more so as well in Nepal now. And that is basically behind the scenes. All the training happens, especially on like during the monsoon or during winter. There's a lot of training that happens. But over the winter, we'll see if we can ask Anuj just to share some images, because it'd be great actually for the community to see what's happening behind the scenes. Obviously, the training of first high altitude first aid. The management of trips, because especially if you're a porter becoming an assistant guide, and assistant guide becoming a lead guide, obviously there's levels of experience you'll have, especially when it comes to language.
Yeah.
And Dave kind of referred to it earlier around, that obviously English isn't their first language, and culturally, obviously there's going to be bits that their kind of language is a bit off, but they're all English speaking guides, and they're all really good at it. But obviously it's not their first language, so there might be some things that it's a little bit different. But again, that takes time, doesn't it? And it definitely takes a lot of practice. And I know some of the assistant guides that we've had over the years, some of their English hasn't been as good, and then you go back and they're actually a lot better because they've been engaging with customers. But it's good then, because if you are on a trip with, and some of your porters and assistant guides don't speak good English, you try and engage with them.
Well, do you remember Mick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
I think his name was Mick, but his nickname was Mick.
Yeah, and he was a porter,
the assistant guide.
He was assistant guide,
like training to be a full guide,
yeah.
and studying English when we were there. And basically, my father, this is when the trip where he turned back. So he got to Lobouché and then turned back. What was amazing there is that we had a group of porters that basically not a single porter stayed behind. They all came with us on that base camp trek, turned back with my dad, and my dad said Mick was like his shadow.
Was it?
And basically wherever my dad was, Mick was. And that's the one thing as well. I'm going to shout out Stefan Halls as well here, because him and the rest of his group, these guys were the ones that got really hammered by the weather and the conditions out there, and it was a really tough trek. And honestly, I take my hat off to those guys, because they persevered through some really difficult stuff. I mean, we've had some difficult stuff as well, where we've had to cross those glaciers. Remember the ones that were where it was falling apart?
Yeah, so and sketchy.
When I was talking to Stefan, and it does, that type of experience, it imprints in your brain.
Yeah.
But honestly, it'll make you a better person. It makes everybody that goes through that a better person in the mountains, because you've experienced that firsthand. And I know we have, and it's now when you go back, it's you almost to be a good adventurer, you almost need those types of things, But I will say that what they did was truly epic, and rightly so. The guys that the porters, they do it as well.
Yeah.
Whatever we go through, they go through.
Well, it is. I mean, some education is actual education, isn't it? Is the education you through experience, or education through actually training? And I think a lot of the guides, a lot of their education they have is through experience, but then obviously there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
Any high altitude guide, any high altitude assistant guide has to go through a level just to become a guide. And as Dave said, regarding the best of the best, we look and recruit guides who are, they're generally people who, especially the lead guides, because if you're on a group of kind of 10 to 15 people, it's good to get in hot, Dave.
Yeah, sorry,
I can see you getting hot.
I'm sneaking the fan on.
He's put the fan on now. If you see any wavy hair, Dave just blasted the fan.
When we're in the other office, it's a lot cooler.
It is.
This one is epically hot. But
it's all the positive energy in him. That's what it is. That's what happens. That's what happens.
Don't mention the landslides. Yeah, honestly, anybody that's been looking up, it was nice to get some sleep recently. I think things calmed down a bit. And honestly, it's hard to convey. I think sometimes my feelings towards these guys and what they do, because when you think about it, we are. I was going to say something else then, but we're deep. I was going to add another word into deep, but we're deep into these seasons year after year.
Yes.
Not just Nepal, but Tanzania, South America, Africa, Tanzania and Morocco, I meant to say. We're so deep in these seasons every year, and the trials and tribulations that everybody goes through. And it means a lot to me when people come back I was having a chat with Andy, not you, different Andy.
Different Andy. And, it's a good name. It's never Andy. It's plenty of Andy.
Yeah, and we had a good chat last Friday, I think it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the things he was telling me was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I asked him if he wouldn't mind me sharing his story, and he said that basically before he went out to EBC, he was kind of, very down.
Yeah.
Not really experiencing like the zest of life.
Yeah.
And he said, but he's gone out there and he did EBC, and he said he came back and he's like a changed man.
Really?
And
awesome.
Obviously, I don't know if this. Well, I know it's not the same for everybody, but when he came back and he said, just having done what he'd done, and his wife said that he seemed different and he felt different. But one of the things he was very passionate about was the team that got him there, not just all of the guys all the Evertrekkers who he trekked with. He did send me a list of names. I apologize, Andy, but also the team that got them there and stuff like that. And he was it really does touch me when people come back and they just have such care and compassion for these people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's quite interesting you say that, because we sometimes as well having been impacted in Nepal, like not spiritually as such, but feeling something when you're out there. It could be a connection with the land, the people, the experience you go through, and I think everyone does bring something back. A memory, and sometimes it's not straight away, because sometimes you can't kind of you're back to work, like Kim. Take it easy, Kim. Or you get back and you're back into the thrust of life, and it's not until you sit down with literally a cup of coffee or a tea, and you get 5, and you actually realize what you've achieved and what you've done and what you've been through, and it certainly can affect your life in such a positive way. And that's why we always like encouraging people to kind of push through the challenges, but also as well about getting to know your guide, getting to know your porter, get to spend a bit of time with them. Honestly, I think something about the Nepalese people is that they are very spiritual people. I think obviously the religion, 80% Hindu, Buddhism, which exists symbiotically, they coexist.
Yeah.
There's no aggro, and it's very nice to see, that you've got two almost not competing religions, but two different religions who can coexist.
Well, they share temples, don't they?
Yeah, and you go to one temple. It could be a Hindu temple, but it's got a Buddhist shrine.
Yeah,
and I think just that respect, it means that you can imagine culturally what sort of people they are, and that can only affect you in a certain way, in my eyes.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I certainly, the first time I went to Nepal, and I didn't know that, and then suddenly afterwards you think, what, Nepalese people, one of the nicest people in the world. Not just because they're trying to look after you or a customer, but I think they are naturally nice people anyway. Generally, and I think that does leave its mark on you, to be like, what, these people have got nothing really. They haven't got much money. They don't have much, but they're always smiling and they're always happy, and they're living life, and sometimes that can leave its impact on you as well.
It does.
The small things that I'm probably going quite deep here, but the small things that we kind of complain about and worry about sometimes in our lives, actually kind of inconsequential sometimes to kind of, or they're small in comparison to the big stuff in life, where it just gives a little bit of perspective in my eyes.
Well, it's hard when and obviously I'm not nobody says that their way of life is easier or better, but you always kind of like and crave what you don't have, and sometimes in my experience, living in the UK, and all this politics in the news and all the unrest and stuff like that, sometimes going to a place where life is simpler, not easier but simpler, I think kind of resets us in a way. When I first went over to Nepal, and I had the same experience when I was in Tanzania, and life is chaotic over there, and it's crazy, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's something about the act of hiking. And I remember when I came back, and me and you went for our first hike in Brecon, and I put my rucksack on, and I had that feeling again. And I got to chase that feeling. I got to keep going back and wearing it.
Chasing it, mate.
And I said, you know what? There's something to be said about the only job I've got to do that day is get from A to B with my rucksack on. And that's what I got to do today.
It's not bad,
and then
to everyone at Namche, enjoy.
Honestly,
to everyone else on the track.
I hope Emily as well, you start to perk up a little bit.
Yeah.
Namche, it can be a little bit of a tipping point for some people.
Yeah.
But trust me, I've seen people up. We went up to Everest View Hotel for a coffee.
Yeah.
And I saw one person with their head in their hands, really bad headache, felt like the trip was over, went back down to Namche, had some food, drank plenty of water, took half a Diamox, and woke up in the morning and was dancing a little jig. So yeah,
brilliant.
Maybe that's just Diamox.
Well, Diamox,
you know,
can help.
But yeah.
George, Fly Out Friday. George, have an awesome time. And yeah, who is it? We got Suzette as well. Bit late, Suzette. What time do you call this? No, I'm joking. No, great stuff. Yeah, great to see some familiar faces on the live as well. And good luck, George. Safe journey out there. Diane had a really good catch-up call with Diane the other day. She's a member of the Summit Zone. So yeah, it's been great. Diane, you went for a run. Right, I'm going to tell you now. What is it? How many days you got? You fly out Friday. No more running, please. No more running. Relax. Remember we talk about tapering off the training. You just get some sleep and rest and get energy, and you'll be fine. Just being for a run. No, I'm only joking. I know it's like if you're into your routines, it's hard, isn't it? But the point is just try and take it easy before you go. Don't get any last minute injuries.
I've been tapering down for a while now.
Yeah, I know. Well, when you go in December.
1st of December,
nice.
Yeah. I started tapering down long before I actually booked the trip, if I'm honest. But yeah, no, I'm 100% going back.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But yeah, I'm gonna get that summit.
Definitely. You will this time. You will. I think, like you said, you talk about health and looking after yourself and tapering off. I think for yourself, your body's going to be in a better place now. You've got more experience. You're going to smash it. 100%.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, like it's yeah. I'm just going to keep going back until I get to the top.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Just Stefan as well. The week or so I'm washing with freezing cold baby wipes. The first shower at the aloft. Mate, I just listening to you there, I totally get it. That shower that you'll have after a long trek feels like it's the best shower in the world.
Yeah, and you look down on your ankle deep in brain filth,
dirt.
Yeah, dirt.
No,
I do. Yeah. To be honest, I have had showers. I tend to avoid the showers in the mountains because they're never that great. You know, and they do feel amazing when you're in them, but as soon as you get out and you start freezing and you've got to dry off in the tea house bedroom, it's like nah. So I'll what do I put on my hair? Dry shampoo. But before I used talc. Yeah, because someone told me it's the same thing.
Well, I remember you did that, and then it's kind of I hope no one walked into the room because you put talc on. You kind of went like that, and there was white powder everywhere. And I thought this could be dodgy. If someone walks in now, they're going to think something's going on.
No, but what happened was there's a video of me because obviously I talc everywhere, but I put a little bit too much in the undercrackers, and then when I sat down, it kind of blasted out the bottom of my legs. I've got a video of it somewhere.
Wow, you'd have to dig that out. Share it in the group, mate. Share it in the group.
Yeah.
Any questions as well? Just because we've just gone 1:05 now. That flies by. Any questions around Nepal, the guides, anything like that at all? I mean, any questions? That's what we're here for as well. Do drop it in. Obviously, I've seen some comments and different things, but we've had some on email as well, which is always great. But any questions, guys? Any of those last minute things that sort of crop in? Obviously, I know that Diane's due to go. We got George is due to go. So any last minute questions, guys? Just drop them in. Whilst we're here, because it's been a mad couple of weeks, but just as a kind of last kind of push from us, really, is that over the next 48 hours we're going to be going privately live on the crowdfunding. So if you haven't heard or you haven't been on the lives, you haven't seen any of the posts or the emails, Evertrek are opening essentially shares and equity in the business. And we've got the basically we call it the pre-registration phase, which is you kind of sign up and on Cedars. Cedars is the platform that we're using for the equity crowdfunding. They've had some big companies, Revolut, Much Better Adventures, a lot of it's all right, I'm allowed to. Other companies who have raised sort of funds and investment to grow the business, and that was that was our idea because we've never had any outside investment before. It's always been from back when I started the business. Really, it's only been from what we've made to grow the business. We're really proud of that, but we've got some big ideas. we want to release, like, we've got 14 other countries that we'd like to open up. We've got new systems that we want to kind of get out there. We've got new community events. We've got a lot of things that we want to work on. That's as you can imagine, with any kind of growing business, investment really helps. So yeah, that's what this is. So yeah, if you do want to get involved in that, because it's we're only opening it to the privately live people, so you'll get first dibs essentially to get shares in Evertrek. There will be investor rewards as well. Do jump on the link, which I hope Vicky is sharing, which if she's listening, if you can pop the coming soon page, that will only be open for the next kind of couple of days, because it might close sooner than that, just because we're just waiting for everything to be signed off from Cedars. And whilst we're talking about this as well, when investing, capital is at risk, so we always have to, as Dave calls it, the T&Cs. But no, because it's obviously investment, capital is anything you invest can be at risk. But yeah, we'd love to obviously work with you. We're going to be working quite closely with our investors on the growth of the business, and I hope it's coming in there now. I think are you struggling to? No, she's finding it. She's finding it. She's on it.
They'll work on it. I just saw Jerome say something about a 1 meter square wet wipe.
No, wow, really?
That can't be right.
1 meter square. I want to come back to this. Have a look, Jerome. Where's the 1 meter square deodorant body wipes?
That sounds amazing.
I know.
Jerome, can you send me a link for that, please? Because I want to look into this. If this is not true now, I'm going to be so upset. Are you looking for the link, Ant?
I am.
You've gone off camera.
I know. It's all good.
I can't see anything.
Continue.
Well, yeah.
Here we go.
I did see one question, which was
go for it, Dave.
From Daniel Saxon, just back from Island Peak. Maole the guide was awesome, as was his Port Llama, and he wanted to mention, because he spotted that basically in the tea houses, obviously clients and guides get fed there, but the porters didn't, and he wanted to ask if we were aware that was the way. So essentially with the porters, so the guides always have to eat and live alongside the clients. The porters, we basically give them, they get money, and the money is for a few things. So one, we don't expect them to pay out of their own pockets for things like food and stuff like that.
Yes.
But equally, they tend to have their own little sort of community in these villages. So the porters basically get money to subsist on whilst they're in the mountains with the team.
Yeah.
And essentially they can eat wherever they like. The issue is there's often places outside of the main lodge where the clients are that they can get basically their dalbat for a lot less and things like that. So they get to sort of benefit more from that money. So it is something that we do make sure that they've got enough food and water, and we do make sure that they've got enough money to get food and things like that. And that's not like their salary, that's just their subsistence allowance, and then they get paid, and then we encourage everyone to do tips as well. So hopefully that's all good, Dan. But we do know that when people are in the mountains, they may see a difference and things like that. And I encourage anyone that has a concern to message me, because I'll more than happily talk over things. And trust me that if I was to hear about something that wasn't quite right, 100% I'll dive into it straight away.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you're right. You kind of think, I hope the guys are eating. I remember when I was out there, and because they often don't eat in front of you, or the guides, you're like, they're eating. They okay? Like, should we get them in? Because you want to look after your guides, right? And you care for them, especially we're talking about connecting with guides and becoming friends with them. Yeah, you get to care for them. But just from our side, we've always worked hard to work with teams that look after their guides. We wouldn't work with anyone else.
I wasn't laughing about what you were saying there. I saw Stefan's comment there about it was a bit of a shocking sight. Unfortunately, what happens in the mountains stays in the mountains, doesn't it?
Well, clearly not. Nice one, Stefan, and thanks for your comments as well. Really appreciate it. But no, and with the guides, we always want to make sure that their health is looked after. They are supported. And that's why generally, if you've got good guides with you, and especially guides who have climbed 8,000 meter peaks, like a lot of our guides, mountain guides and trekking guides, been doing it for a very long time. They'll tend to want to work for companies that look after them. So which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
So for instance, like we attract certain guides because they know that they enjoy working with the brand. They obviously see Evertrek customers out there having fun, which is good, and they're well looked after. And I think so. So it's that way as well, So the things we put in place, we attract better guides, and that's I've certainly seen that.
Yeah.
And and I'm really proud to have that happen.
No, and it is, and we do look after them if something was to go wrong as well.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people who are portering on the hills, not just for clients, but for you see loads of supplies going up and down. A lot of the time, either they have to get their own insurance, or they have to, or they just do their treks without it.
Yeah.
We make sure that they are insured, and we do that. Anuj makes sure that every single porter over there, is not going to be left with a lingering injury or problem or sick as a result of our trips, and then not get our help to kind of get over that. And that's why we got the guy oxygen. I think I remembered as well that because the weather was bad, got him oxygen, and I think he was stretchered down to Ferice from Gorekshep, where we could get a helicopter back down.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Dan, it's funny because actually talking about Ferice, I remember one time when we stopped there, and after we had our food and stuff, I wanted to go out and have a walk around the village and have a little look, and then I saw this little local tea house with all of our porters and stuff in there playing cards and stuff like that.
Now.
But what was funny was I wanted to kind of join in and play cards, but when I walked past, it was it was quiet because I think
it's a respect thing.
Well, I also reckon there was a little bit of money being exchanged.
Okay.
That's the one thing. I'll play cards with the guys, but I'll never bet money.
No,
because one,
I'll take it off of me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I never win, so it's not much of a risk. But if I did, well, what would I do? I think I just put it behind the bar at Luckler and say have at it, boys.
Well, I think Bri mentioned way earlier that they certainly know how to have a good time in Luckler after the trip. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. You do like a party.
You did that one time. We Andy basically we got back to Luckler and we were delayed. We had to walk through the monsoon.
Yeah,
the worst rain I've ever experienced.
It was crazy.
I know a lot of people on this live now have experienced what monsoon rain is like in Nepal, and it's something special.
It is.
And we got there and we knew we weren't flying in the morning. That was out the question. So we thought, well, let's let our hair down. We'll get all the guys together. And Andy, in his wisdom, put some, I don't know whether you announced that drinks on me or whether you put money behind the bar. But what was
hilarious, said, just help yourself.
But what was hilarious was one of the porters said, oh, can I have a beer? And I said, oh yeah, Andy's getting beer. Just get yourself a beer. And I seen him walking with about 5 or 6 beers back to his mates.
I did notice. And I was like, I wasn't gonna you've earned it. It's fine. You go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a bottle of cookery on you.
I did. Yeah. I think we had some good rum, and that Raxi was absolutely the ex-Gurkha who was there. He was very very interesting stuff. Andrew, do trekkers have access to help for reaching medical centres just for Everest climbers? Good question, actually. I think if you need it, they'll I mean, because normally it is reserved for medical sort of big stuff. If people are really ill, I know it's kind of reserved for that. But I know some people before who have fallen ill at base camp, not had weather to get the helicopter. It's been so bad weather that they've actually gone down to Ferice and then seen that medical seen someone at that medical centre. I think there's one in Luckler as well. So if you do get the flight back, you can get it there. But yeah, it's not just for Everest climbers. I think a lot of them do use it just because a lot of the expeditions, I think, support the centre, so they get maybe preferential treatment a little bit.
I know Comrade Anchor's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, well, because a big part of setting it up, I think, and they get, which is fair, isn't it? At the end of the day, if they set it up, but they get the climbers get more use of it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll turn away anyone that needs that needs medical help in that in there. But then we're very lucky that in as much as because we don't climb Everest, that obviously. Well, we don't climb Everest, but we're stepping into that arena.
Yeah.
So we do expose ourselves to dangers. We all do. It's possible to have, anything that can happen to you on Everest can happen to you trekking to base camp, essentially. In terms of the effects of altitude and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the odds are a lot lower. But but I think we're very lucky in that respect that our acclimatization program is pretty good. And if someone does start to get ill, generally there's a lot we can do to kind of handle it before they need to go into into
don't
somewhere.
think it's over. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, into you know, we don't necessarily just rush people down to Ferice to get them checked and stuff when there's a lot we can do.
Don't climb Everest yet.
No, not yet, but soon.
Soon,
relatively speaking.
Laura actually brings us on because we did want to bring up and discuss obviously the guides. You know, absolutely awesome people, and regarding tips. And I think Laura mentioned there, I know it's not really tip money, was an additional cost. Essentially that, some people don't, it's hard because we don't force people to tip, but we always say, you know, maybe we should change our language on this.
Well, no, I've started saying tipping's mandatory on that tricks.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. I mean, it's because we've always said it's culturally expected, but I think, you know, we always like to, you know, it's hard because it's almost like you're managing it politically, but it's not. And to be fully transparent with you, we support our guides, and a big part of that is the tips. You know, and just educating people about the tips. And I think it has changed over the years. I think, you know, going back to like 2018, 2019 to now, I'd say that we've certainly tried to encourage higher tips, just because it's you know, obviously this work is seasonal and we want to get it right. And I know we've had some feedback off Evertrekkers who are like, you know, they just want to know how much, because I'm the same. If I give like £100, you know, is that a good amount? Are they going to feel okay, or do I give £150? You know, and there's always that. Well, what is the right amount? And it's hard to get it completely right, but.
Exactly. I mean, what we say is we're not asking anyone to go into their overdraft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the trip itself is expensive, all the equipment is expensive, and we, you know, there are certain things that we don't want to skimp on, and one of those is looking after the guys that make it possible.
Yeah.
And I said this on my first trip that I felt like I trained like an astronaut. You know, I felt like I was fit enough to go to the summit.
Yeah.
But if the porter put my bag down, I wouldn't have got a base.
That's true.
And that's absolutely true. And I feel very passionately about it. We've had this before where I've been like, tips, you know, and I'll gladly, you know, go to war for those guys, because the stuff that they do is amazing. And I think, no one's asking you to kind of like get a loan, draw cash out your credit card and give way more than you can afford. But before the trip, factor it in at the forefront and understand that it is something that's going to be done. It is different, like than tipping over here. In as much as, you know, Nepal's a third world country. It's very poor, and the tips form a very important part of their livelihood. They do get wages, they do get looked after, but the tips can be huge. You know, and we're not going to hide that it makes a massive difference to those guys, and it can support them, their family, their friends, and the more you tip, the better their lives are going to be. You know, and given the hardships of trekking at high altitude with a bag on your back as a porter, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Diane, what you put there, mate, about £100, and you've suggested 150. Yeah, good on you, and thanks for doing that. And as Dave said, you know, with regards to, you know, looking after the guides, I suppose a big part of it is us trying to sort of help you come to the best decision for you. So like Dave said, in terms of not going into your overdraft, not going, you know, don't do it outside of your budget. But that being said, you know, I think it's important to remember that, you know, like you just said, which is probably the third time, you put your bag down, you put your big bag down. It's very hard to move it at altitude.
Oh no, yeah.
So you know, it is way worth it, and they're fantastic people as well. And I think it's something nice because in the UK, it's not kind of our culture to tip that much, is it? Whereas I know in certain cultures, it's kind of expected. And certainly, I think in, you know, nearly all of the countries, I'd say Morocco's a little bit different, but I definitely think that in Nepal, Tanzania, Peru, they're definitely expecting a certain amount of tip. And if it was lower, then it's not awkward, but it's kind of like, oh, right, okay, I thought I'd get a tip. You know, it's so it is finding that balance and bring it back to you know, what feels like the right thing for you. You know, what feels good. You know, because doing the right thing, I think, if that's at the forefront of your decision making, you know, you're probably going to make better decisions. And I think if, in terms of that, with the rest of the group and finding something that works for you, like Diane mentioned there, of £150 each, you know, which I would say is probably towards the higher end.
Yeah, it's a good amount.
It's a really good amount, and you know what? That will go down very well.
Honestly, yeah, and it's one of those things as well when we as Brits, we're naturally awkward around this kind of thing. You know, so it's
how it is.
So it's like, am I tipping enough? I don't want to offend anyone, but equally, I don't think I can afford to give. Just honestly, do the best you can for those guys. Yeah. That's what we're asking. I see what Laura says there. That it's tricky if others don't want to, but honestly,
it's hard,
you're doing your trip for you, and you've got to just just do whatever you can do. And if no one else wants to do it, then honestly, then I would be kind of like, that's on them.
Yeah.
You know. And one thing I will say as well, that if say for instance, and literally I think I can recall one instance in our entire history where the group either didn't tip or gave very low tips. So not enough really once it was shared out. You know, it was like probably less than $20 each once it was shared out.
Yeah.
You know, we know about that, and then we'll deal with the guide and his team directly, and I believe we compensated for that.
We did. Well, we didn't. You know, like at the end of the day, we go back to looking after your guides, and looking after your people. It pays dividends in terms of them wanting to work for you, and you know we do look after, and you know that I remember that instance. I can't remember, it was about 4 years ago now.
Yeah, it was early doors.
And it was I think it was, you know, rarely these days, guys, do we have any ever trackers that don't think like that. You know, they do care for guides, but you know we are a growing business and we attract many different individuals, and you know some people think differently, and that's fine. I'd say 99% of Evertrackers don't. I think part of the brand, as part of the community, you like to do the right thing, and you know I hope that comes across, that we encourage that, because it might make you feel better as well. And I think certainly, it's hard if I was in a group and someone didn't want to give a certain tip. Yeah, it'd feel awkward, wouldn't it? Definitely. It'd be like, oh, come on, mate. You know, these guys just carried your bags. You know, but like Dave said, it's on them. You know, the guides will remember who did and who didn't, and it's certainly a challenging one, but keep doing the right thing. And, you know, and it's great to discuss this, because hopefully then if you go in on the trip, or I think actually someone who was it? It's just coming down. I think it was Richard. Here we go, Richard. Hello from Ferrice on our way back from EBC. Epic journey. Thanks for Evertrack local guide. Porter's trip of a lifetime.
Oh,
Richard.
Awesome.
Great to, it's always nice to see people on the trek on the live. And have a safe trip back down. And yeah, glad you've enjoyed the journey, mate, and well done. Congratulations as well. Just safe trip back down. Take it easy. Enjoy the Irish bar in Namche. I take it that's tomorrow. So tomorrow. There we go. Fantastic. Sorry, Dave. I felt like I had more to say, right?
Yeah. I was like, but no,
it's all good. It's all good.
Actually ended quite quick. But no, I see. Karen's
goodbye. Sorry, if you tip the barman a lot, you'll never actually have to go to the bar for your beers. That is awesome. That's brilliant.
To be honest, Karen, we've thought about different ways of kind of incorporating the tip-in, and honestly, it's a balance of one, logistically, like the money needs to end up as cash in the hands of those people that just completed the trek. So, and also there's a certain element of
it's still expected.
It's culture. It would still be culturally expected.
Exactly.
For the people on the trek to give tips. And there are going to be occasions where you feel like you've offended someone because maybe you tipped a wrong amount, or the divvy up was wrong, or anything like that. But honestly, it's a small price to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because when you consider that we send about 1,000 people a year or more to Nepal and to Everest Base Camp, and then we might end up with, if I end up with 10 or 20 a year where people say, oh, the tipping was quite awkward, well, that's like over 900 that went really well. So although it's not a completely perfect system, and tipping never is, and you might end up feeling a little bit awkward, but if at any time it becomes an issue, you just contact us in the UK, and we'll
it's a good point though, because we came up with that same idea, Karen, because it was I think it was me, you, Jen, I think it was even Lauren, was sitting around the table like 4.5 years ago, and a similar question came up about tips, and we were like, maybe should we include it just to make it easier, which is it's a really good idea. But then we had a chat with the guys, and they were like, you could do that, but they're still gonna
they're still
going to want it because they always expect more on top, regardless of what it is, and we were like, okay,
because
let's just keep to what we're doing. But it's a good point, mate.
Because they won't appreciate that we've reinvented the wheel essentially.
Yeah.
So so it would be like that. No, I've paid Evertrek for the tips, and they go, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know.
And then we'd end up with people going like,
we'd be like, right, okay.
We tipped twice and stuff, So
yeah.
But no, it is a good point. And honestly, we have anytime that we think about the what we term the customer journey, which is they haven't heard of Evertrek, to they've just got back from EBC.
Yeah.
Customer journey is everything that happens in the middle. And we do think about like what's the best way that we can make that as slick as possible. And sometimes, there's not a perfect solution for every scenario that might come up.
Yeah.
But with tips, I think it's more of an ethos thing. If you go there with a mind that, yes, you budgeted a good amount for tips beforehand, and you've checked with us, or you've checked, if you're uncomfortable, you can say, I'm thinking of bringing this amount. Is that enough? And I'll be honest and say, honestly, I think you should bring a bit more. Or, that's too much, so we can get you the right amount. And then you can be confident then that what you're giving is right and fair. And then if anything arises where you feel differently, we can talk about it. And I'm sure there'll be, something we can do.
So I'm just reading Jerome's. We couldn't get the Irish bar at Namche. Cow was in the way. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
That's just typical Namche traffic. With a calf and then the cow. Oh, mate, that's
wicked.
It's a shame. I'm sure there was somewhere else you could have gone. But no, they do get in the way sometimes.
Is it called Oxygen Liquid?
Is that what it's called?
I think it's a liquid bar.
Oh, opposite. Yeah, you're right. Actually, there is. I've been there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And just one more comment. Who was it? Because what time is it now? Oh, geez, right. It's flown by today.
I know.
But I think Bev mentioned just my opinion. But the guides portals are working to help you. How much do you pay? They do this to earn money, not for the good. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to pay a decent tip. Exactly, Bev. I mean, regarding pay and things like that, I go back to what we said before about we attract good guides who want to work for us. And, I know that because essentially when the guides get their pay basically every month from our team in Nepal, it's like a salary essentially. So they even get paid during the off season, not just during the times that we run trips.
Mm-hmm.
So just something that, just something to be aware, they are very, very well looked after. But no, when it comes to tipping, and maybe we should just do a live all about tips because we could probably go all day. But it's important.
It's an important one. Yeah. So we there probably is a live about tips in there.
I think
also one thing as well is that you may notice, and we've been made aware that sort of the advice that we give on tipping might be different in certain places. That's because
a good point, actually.
When we've built the guides or the planners, obviously times change and evolve. So if you do see anything contradictory,
let us know.
Let us know, and we can give you the advice one-to-one on what to do so you're fully prepared. But if in doubt, go with a hire.
Exactly. We've always tried to be, we've always tried to put heaps of information out there, but we realize that actually with all of it out there, lots of it is some of the stuff we used to do back in like 2017, 2018, and we kind of the pound versus the dollar isn't as strong. So for us, it's actually a little bit more expensive to give them a certain amount of dollars. So that kind of changes, and plus as well, I think we now attract a different kind of we had good guys in the beginning, but they're kind of a very high level now. Like Dave said earlier, best of the best, and they do cost more, and we don't mind that because it means you guys get a far better trip because the way they manage you is just a lot better.
Stefan's point there, a good point there, that it is about 1,000 rupees or more for a beer in a loft. I will say a loft is a really, really nice 5-star hotel. It's essentially a Marriott. Cheaper beers.
Cheaper places.
Cheaper beers. I like the Rock Bar. I can't remember the name of it now.
One of my favorites.
The Buddha Bar is good. Remember the Rock Bar where we saw this metal band playing in Kathmandu? Or was that in the different one? No, that was. I don't think you were there.
That was in the October.
That was in October. Yeah, we went and watched a really good metal band, like in Kathmandu. If anyone's been to that metal bar, let me know the name of it. I'd be really interested. Joel
Palmer, how you doing, mate? Coming at the end. I've seen TV programs like EBC. Occasionally, you see vehicles in the background. Have they been airlifted in? That's probably, mate, my guess, because there's no vehicles at all in the Everest region. Other than helicopters. Is that's probably in the Tibetan side, so in the Chinese side. So because they have got a road that goes to the Tibet Everest Base Camp, not in the pool.
Yeah.
Jerome, the Allot Hotel.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. We love using a loft. We always get really good feedback, but we obviously have to remember it's a 5-star hotel. There are cheaper places to go.
And again, we used to use different hotels, and I think Bri is a good example because he's one of the only few customers that have stayed in both during the same trip.
Yeah.
And although it is more expensive and it is plush and very posh and everything like that,
he looked after it.
If you had the experience of staying in the other one, you'll know that 100% a lot's better.
Yeah.
So again, like, this is adventure travel. There's no perfect solutions to every problem. But yeah, I would say a loft is definitely better.
There's Brian. I spent 10 days in the loft. A bar was our home. I know, mate. I know. And Joel, I know. Yeah, he's always in the background. But no, great to see you here. Well, look, guys. Firstly, I hope today's been useful in a way. Obviously, we wanted to chat around the guides and obviously how we kind of look after them. How it kind of comes across. In terms of the guides and their education. The health, the equipment, all the things that come with them. And we hope it's been a little bit useful around that. Just answering some of the questions around tips as well. I hope that's been useful. And yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on at the moment. Obviously, you probably saw we announced competition yesterday. I know our Facebook ads guys were ahead of the game. So yeah, we've already had
they're on it.
They're on it. I know. Couple of thousand entries already, but no, it's great. And obviously get involved, because if you're part of the community, you've probably seen one of our competitions. But obviously, any competition we do, it comes from a point of positivity. We want to help as many people as we can get on these trips.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's it means you can check out the guides.
Do the UK staff get tips, or
I'm not too sure.
Don't eat yellow snow. That's the only tip.
That's the only tip. Isn't it? Yeah. Or if Stefan says, if a yak edge away on the trail, move quickly.
Oh, that reminds me of a funny story, Stefan. I'll quickly get it in there.
Go on then.
When we were all sat around on the way to base camp, I believe it was near Pangboche.
Yeah.
And this dog had just pitched up in the middle of the path. And a yak train comes up, and they just stop. The dog wakes up, looks at the yak, and then goes back to sleep. And the yak just refused to move. So what the yak decides then is, well, I've got to find another way around this dog. So it just dives into like the restaurant area, and about 8 or 9 of these yaks just followed it. And you see chairs going everywhere and people going, get out of the way.
I remember that.
And this dog just completely oblivious to the utter chaos it caused.
That was funny.
Things you remember.
I know. Great times, mate. Memories from the trail. But right, yeah, have an awesome week, whatever you're up to. I'll be back next week. And yeah, I hope that's been useful. Any final thoughts from you, Dave, about the guides?
No, honestly, I think my final thoughts, I'll put out to the Evertrek guys, to everyone on this live, everyone on YouTube, everyone is listening, basically, when this podcast is. Yeah, I really do appreciate that. One of the things that comes back from you guys is just the pure and sincere concern for those guys out there.
Yes.
And the fact that you care for them, you want them to look, you want them to be healthy and happy and have good lives, and so do we. Exactly. Well, look, cheers, guys. Have an awesome week, and we'll catch you next Tuesday. Have a fun time. Bye. Bye.